is really actually an honor to be here, and it feels a little bit like coming home. I'm going to share a little bit about our story and some lessons I've learned along the way as an entrepreneur. I think it's fitting to talk about this at Dust or Magic because ultimately what entrepreneurs care most about is it dust or is it magic? And if you're an entrepreneur, the question that you'd be most interested in is why do startups succeed or fail? Mark Andreessen, who's the inventor of the web browser and is also a highly successful serial entrepreneur and VC, actually wrote about this. And he said, what best correlates to success or failure? Is it the team? Is it the quality of the product? Is it the size of the market? And he said, hands down, the number one company killer is lack of market. And I would say, while it is certainly, you certainly can't have success without a market, it is not sufficient. Errol Arlick is another highly successful serial entrepreneur and a VC who's literally worked with thousands of startups. And he came to a more nuanced conclusion that he shared at an NSF conference that I was at to a group of researchers who were trying to take their product ideas to market. And he said startups fail because their products suck. And when he was reading this, his wife said, "Oh, Errol, you can't share that at NSF." And so he changed it to this. So if you do a startup, you are going to think a great deal about this. How do you make a product that doesn't suck? And ultimately, making a product that doesn't suck, it needs to meet a deep market need. That's really the magic. Unfortunately, just saying product market fit doesn't get you there. So we'll need to find some more magic along the way. Another thing I want to talk about is what does it feel like to do a startup? And I don't think anyone has captured better than this startup life cycle that Sarah Privet created. So initially, you start with the launch of the product, and inevitably it's not the earth-changing thing that you hoped it would be. And this follows shortly by realizing for the first time you don't have a clue. That follows with a roller coaster of iterations where you go from thinking you're getting somewhere only to yet again realize you don't have a clue. You go through the plateau of disenchantment, and then finally you have a product. Now you need customers, and once you have customers, you go to the sloth ascent. So now that you have that roadmap in your head, I'm going to share a little bit about Matt's journey. In 2013, I and these four other people decided to again take the entrepreneurial leap. Our last company was bought by Disney, and after working for almost 4 years for the mouse, we were ready to be entrepreneurs again. In particular, we really miss building value for teachers and students. In some ways, we benefited from being second-time entrepreneurs. Specifically, I would say we knew we didn't have a clue. So to be clear, this is the map of our future. Being second-time entrepreneurs got us here. We know going in that we don't have a clue. So I actually think being second-time entrepreneurs gets you two things. Besides telling you don't have a clue, you've also hopefully picked up a set of tools and lessons that can help you navigate your journey. And because this is alchemy and not hard science, I refer to these as the 7 incantations for non-sucky products. And my first incantation is customer discovery, and the idea is just to test your business hypotheses against red customers. So the idea is to apply the scientific method to the alchemy that is startups. It's actually a powerful idea that was first written about by Steve Blank and then later became celebrated as the core principle to this lean startup movement. So instead of ideating and launching a product, we actually talked to every teacher and student and K-12 administrator. It was about 100 teachers that we spoke to, and it became clear that there's a really deep need to help math teachers reach more students. The range of math fluency, especially in middle school, is great. And we felt like that was something technology could possibly help, and we possibly had some skills to make that happen. Our hypothesis was simple. We thought technology should be able to help a teacher be more effective in the classroom. And from our customer discovery, it became really clear that there's sort of a dearth of things available to middle school teachers, middle school math teachers in particular, where foundation gets set in elementary, middle school students come to middle school and don't have the right foundation, yet their teachers have to do grade level curriculum. So it seemed like kind of an interesting opportunity for us. shortly after we started, we realized that we started in March 2013, and the National Council of Teaching Mathematics, which is sort of the biggest math conference, was scheduled a month away, and so it just felt like too big of an opportunity to miss. And that brings me to my second incantation, which is minimal viable product. Good night. Okay. The product that allows you to learn the most by building the least, right? And I think actually of all the incantations that I share today, I believe this one is the most valuable, the one that can be truly transformative. So we asked, what is the minimal thing we could share to test our hypothesis? We decided to build a demo focused on building conceptual understanding of fractions. This is actually a screenshot of our area model for multiplication of fractions. And we worked hard that even though it was only a demo, it really felt real. It felt interactive and engaging. So this is a photo from that conference. Our company's 5 weeks old, and over the course of 3 days, we spoke to more than 300 teachers, and almost more beneficially, we met with some researchers who wanted to work with us, who we actually still work with today. And the response really surpassed our expectation. It's always hard to tell, but it felt like teachers seemed generally excited about the product. We were encouraged that most of them signed up for the pilot launch. And even though at this point, right, we only have demoware, we don't have anything that's real, and there's a lot more to do, it felt like we were moving in the right direction. So after the NCTM, we worked really hard to take that demoware and make it into something, a product that somebody could use. We were really lucky to work with this after-school program, I Have a Dream. And so we would go and meet with these students, they would use it, we would talk to them. I learned a lot from Barbara, actually from Industrial Magic, on how to do that well, how to run usability and co-design with students well. Anyways, we'd run back, we'd fix problems, we'd implement features, and we'd go back. And almost like from the second time we came in, they realized we were really listening to them because they would make a recommendation and suddenly it would be in. And so they became very engaged. It was this really amazing time of product development. That was the first time I've actually had that. Which brings me to my third incantation, which is iterate, not ideate. This is really not just an incantation. I think it's a useful mantra for anyone creating something new. Rather than ideating, better to listen to your customers, iterate, be willing to throw stuff away. I think one thing that's true for startups is, unlike big companies, you're not unfolding a master plan. I think the startups that I admire, that have ultimately been really successful, built value to last, have really, when you look at their history, gone from failure to failure. It may not have seemed like a failure at the time, as they're ideating to improve those initial ideas and build something of real value. And my fourth incantation is closely related. Shipping is the most important feature. You could say that's obvious, right? You're not going to iterate if you're not shipping. But I think it's really important for designers and creators. Most of us are embarrassed to ship seriously imperfect and under-featured products. But you have to get over that and do it anyway. Or as Reid Hoffman says, there you are. If you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched too late.
Hold that up for a second.
That's a quote.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It is.
I can always stop at the end of the little marks that you're in.
That's how you know?
But even though we felt like we were doing a lot of things right, we were iterating, we were deeply listening to teachers and students, we still were not growing fast enough. And so if you remember our roadmap, I would say at this point we're here, at this plateau of disenchantment. Which brings me to my fifth incantation: fall in love with the problem, not the solution. Was our adaptive math software really meeting a deep need? What teachers wanted? Did it need more features? The truth is, product market fit is really hard and unsure, and it helps if you love the problem. So we stepped back and we talked to teachers using with math. This was actually the dashboard originally. So teachers could assign topics, which were these moleskin notebooks. And then students would actually go into the notebooks and work through a series of levels that would adapt in real time. It was really effective for adaptive content, but it didn't address all the other types of content that teachers need and all the other types of tools they need. And I think one of the challenges that teachers have is balancing so many tools, so much content, so many dashboards. And so your product has to deliver, I believe, enough value to be one of those. So that was our hypothesis that we weren't. So after many iterations, this is what the student dashboard looks like today. So teachers can still assign adaptive content, but they can also assign warm-ups and quizzes and homework. Soon, if you go and use Woot Math, and it is free, you can try it out. If you click on feedback, it will say coming soon. But the other thing that we believe, and this is something I think that's evolved in K-12, I'm sure Kelly has seen this, is this idea of giving students agency over their data. We collect all this data, we give it to the teacher, but can we give it to the student? And so that's something we're working hard on doing. And then also providing a mechanism that teachers can provide more nuanced feedback. And so that's going to launch soon for us as well. We also provided a digital Scratchpad. So what we know in mathematics is what getting it right or wrong is not that interesting. What's really interesting is how you solve the problem, how you make sense of the mathematics. And so by doing a digital Scratchpad, teachers then can look at that work, get a more nuanced idea beyond right and wrong, but also project it for full class discussion. So this is our projected mode, and you can see the thumbnails of all the students' work, which then the teacher can project and share. So now maybe we're here, we finally have a product, we have some customers. There are some people that don't think our product sucks. On the other hand, there's not many of them, and while the product doesn't suck, it's maybe not all that great either. So what do we do next? And I believe one way to unlock more magic at this point is this idea, which is my 6th incantation, harvest creativity. An idea is really to leverage everyone in cross-functional teams to help move ideas forward. And he came to this idea from an article I read by Ed Catmull. Highly recommend this article. It's Harvard Business Review. And he talked about how Pixar fosters collective creativity and that they use cross-functional teams to do this. And they really leverage people in mixed groups to ideate. We had the pleasure of harvesting our creativity under the wing of Scott Osterweil. Two mini Scotts, Scott Osterweil this summer. Many of you know Scott. Obviously, he's a pioneer in games and learning. And even more fun, I met him here in 2011 at Duster Magic.
His mustache kind of grew.
Or his face shrunk.
Or his face shrunk.
He challenged us. He gave such an interesting presentation to kick it all off, and he challenged us this idea, the 4 freedoms of play, the freedom to experiment, to fail, the freedom of identity, the freedom of effort. And he made a compelling case that these are in fact the 4 freedoms of learning. And there's a video of his talk that you can see, and I can't recommend strongly enough. So we brought in, we have some teachers on staff, but we brought in teachers that we also work with to make sure that every cross-functional team was a mix of researchers, designers, engineers, and teachers. And we asked them to think deeply about peer-to-peer learning and what that could look like in the classroom. And as always with CFTs, for me, the ideas were as unexpected as they were delightful. This is not launched yet, but hopefully this will launch in the spring. So my guess, if I had to make a guess of where we are, is at the sloth ascent. I would put us there today. We have a product, we have growth, but the growth is not where we need it to be. And that brings me to my 7th incantation, the power of network effects. I think that's already come up here a little bit. This is where users add product value for other users. There we go. Classic examples are Facebook, or the telephone network is a classic example. And from our previous experiment, we saw firsthand of how powerful this can be. We had created a platform for kids to create and share artwork that when we left Disney, had over 20 million users. It was a highly engaged community that really grew exponentially. And so with that in mind, we have recently created a UGC platform for teachers. So teachers, this is a place that they can create and share and modify content. That's just a screenshot of the gallery, and then they can search that content by search terms or by grade or topic or standard. This seems like a promising direction for us. Honestly, it's pretty new, it's too soon to tell, but we are cautiously optimistic. We're seeing good growth. And more interestingly, we're seeing more teachers talk about their experience, and what you need in a network effect is to have people share with other people. And so we're starting to see that. So fingers crossed, I will keep you posted. I'll come back next year. But that brings me to my final thought about the alchemy that is startups, and it's that it's okay to fail. I think it's okay to get it wrong on the path to getting it right. Ultimately, I believe it's better to learn from your successes than your failures. But if you remember incantation number 5, you fell in love with the problem, not the solution. And I believe it's through our successes and failures that we, at least for me, really deeply explore a problem. And that enables us to create solutions that I think ultimately can help more children succeed. Solutions that I would say are magic. So, thank you.